Dopamine addiction, the hidden epidemic of the digital age. Introduction. In the 21st century, technological progress has dramatically reshaped human life. From smartphones to social media, streaming platforms to instant messaging, the world has become more connected, fast-paced, and constantly stimulating. While these advancements offer tremendous benefits, they also pose hidden psychological risks. Among the most pressing of these is the growing phenomenon of dopamine addiction, a condition characterized by compulsive behavior driven by the brain's reward system. Though not formally classified as a medical addiction like substance abuse, dopamine addiction is increasingly recognized by neuroscientists, psychologists, and mental health professionals as a key factor behind a range of behavioral dependencies. It underpins habits such as excessive screen time, compulsive social media scrolling, video game binges, online gambling, pornography consumption, and even junk food cravings. This essay will explore the neurobiology of dopamine, how dopamine-driven behaviors evolve into addiction-like cycles, the societal implications of this epidemic, and the strategies needed to combat its effects. With over 3,500 words, we will dissect this crucial topic in depth to better understand how dopamine addiction is shaping human behavior and mental health in the digital era. 1. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain that plays several roles in regulating bodily and mental functions. It is primarily known for its involvement in the reward system. When we engage in activities that promote survival or pleasure, eating, exercising, achieving a goal, or receiving affection, dopamine is released in the brain, especially in areas such as the nucleus accumbens, ventral tegmental area (VTA), and prefrontal cortex. This release generates a feeling of pleasure or satisfaction, reinforcing the behavior and motivating us to repeat it. Dopamine doesn't just make us feel good. It teaches us what to pursue and fuels our drive for achievement, novelty, and stimulation. However, this powerful mechanism can be hijacked, especially by artificially intense stimuli, leading to addictive behavior patterns. 2. Dopamine and addiction. Addiction occurs when the brain becomes dependent on external stimuli to release dopamine. Over time, as the brain adjusts to frequent spikes, it produces less dopamine naturally or becomes less sensitive to it, leading to a diminished sense of reward from everyday activities. This drives individuals to seek stronger, more frequent dopamine hits, creating a feedback loop that resembles classical substance addictions. This pattern is known as the dopamine reward feedback loop, and it can apply to both chemical substances like drugs or alcohol and behaviors like checking your phone, scrolling Instagram, or binge watching Netflix. Behavioral addictions driven by dopamine include social media addiction, smartphone dependency, gaming disorder, pornography addiction, gambling disorder, overeating, especially sugar and processed foods. Unlike drug addictions, these behavioral addictions can be socially acceptable or even encouraged, making them harder to recognize and regulate. 3. The science behind dopamine addiction. Neuroplasticity and conditioning. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt over time. When an individual consistently engages in behavior that triggers dopamine release, neural pathways become reinforced. Over time, the brain is rewired to associate specific cues, for example, phone notifications, with pleasure and reward. For instance, every time you receive a like on social media, dopamine is released. Your brain learns to associate likes with social validation, prompting you to post more frequently, check notifications obsessively, and spend more time online. This operant conditioning, driven by reward reinforcement, is the foundation of many behavioral addictions. B. Tolerance and desensitization. Taste stimulation leads to dopamine tolerance. The same activity no longer gives the same high. The brain downregulates dopamine receptors to maintain balance, requiring more intense or novel stimulation to achieve the same effect. This explains why users escalate behaviors. Casual gamers become hardcore players. Occasional porn watchers become daily consumers. Casual scrollers end up checking their phones hundreds of times per day. C. Withdrawal and craving. When the dopamine supply is disrupted, for example, when you stop using social media, individuals may experience anxiety, irritability, depression, and boredom. These are withdrawal symptoms not unlike those experienced in substance addiction. The craving for dopamine kicks in, leading to relapse and reinforcing the cycle. 4. Social media and the dopamine economy. Social media platforms are perhaps the most notorious examples of dopamine manipulation. Companies like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter are designed not to inform or connect, but to capture and retain attention. Features that trigger dopamine release include infinite scroll, no natural stopping point, promoting endless use, likes, shares, comments, instant social validation, push notifications, Pavlovian cues that demand immediate attention, short videos and memes, bite-sized pleasure bombs. Tech companies employ psychologists and behavioral scientists to optimize these dopamine loops, creating what has been called the attention economy, where human focus is monetized. The result is a population increasingly addicted to digital validation, distracted and detached from reality. 5. Dopamine addiction in youth and education. Children and adolescents are especially vulnerable. Their brains are still developing, and their prefrontal cortex, responsible for impulse control and decision-making, is not fully matured. Exposure to high dopamine activities can affect attention span. Constant stimulation reduces ability to focus on tasks like reading or studying. Academic performance. Dopamine-driven distractions, for example, games, apps, lower productivity. Mental health. Anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and sleep disturbances are linked to digital overuse. Students addicted to dopamine-producing apps may struggle to find joy in ordinary learning. A textbook cannot compete with a TikTok video, and the delayed gratification of study cannot rival instant online rewards. 6. Food, porn, and gaming, other avenues of dopamine addiction. Junk food addiction. Modern processed foods are engineered for maximum dopamine release. High in sugar, fat, and salt, these foods override natural hunger signals and hijack reward systems. The result? Compulsive eating, obesity, and chronic health issues, all fueled by a reward system that's been manipulated by flavor engineers and marketing. B. Pornography. Online pornography provides endless novelty, triggering dopamine surges with every click. Over time, this leads to desensitization, addiction, and in some cases, erectile dysfunction, intimacy issues, and altered brain function. What was once a private issue is now a public health concern, especially among young men. C. Video games. While gaming offers entertainment and even cognitive benefits, excessive use, especially in MMORPGs and online shooter games, can lead to addiction. The constant stream of rewards, leveling up, and virtual achievements triggers dopamine release similar to gambling. Some gamers report playing for 10+ hours daily, sacrificing sleep, relationships, and even employment. 7. Societal consequences of dopamine addiction. Dopamine addiction doesn't just affect individuals, it has broad social implications. A. Decline in deep work. With attention spans shrinking, fewer people can engage in deep, focused work. Creativity, problem solving, and critical thinking suffer when the brain is conditioned for distraction and instant rewards. B. Rise in mental illness. Anxiety, depression, and loneliness are at record highs. While correlation is not causation, the rise parallels the explosion of dopamine-driven technologies. The dopamine deficit hypothesis suggests that overuse leads to lower baseline dopamine levels, contributing to emotional flatness, fatigue, and apathy. C. Relationship breakdown. Dopamine addiction shifts focus from real human connection to virtual interactions. Couples report less intimacy due to smartphone distractions. Young people are dating less, having less sex, and struggling to build lasting relationships. D. Consumerism and materialism. Teens leverages dopamine to drive impulse buying. Online shopping platforms use flash sales, one-click ordering, and notifications to stimulate purchases. People are buying more but feeling less satisfied. 8. Reclaiming control. The dopamine detox. A dopamine detox is a modern concept where individuals intentionally abstain from high-stimulation activities for a set period to reset their brains. Reward system. A. Principles of dopamine detox. No screens or devices for 24-72 hours. Avoid junk food, caffeine, and porn. Refrain from excessive talking or socializing. Focus on low dopamine activities like journaling, walking, meditating. Redding's goal is not to eliminate dopamine, but to restore sensitivity to natural rewards, making ordinary life more fulfilling again. B. Benefits: improved focus and productivity, enhanced motivation, better emotional regulation, renewed interest in creative or meaningful tasks. Detoxes are becoming popular among entrepreneurs, students, and mental health professionals seeking to escape the dopamine trap. 9. Building a healthier dopamine relationship. Detoxing can help. Long-term success requires building a sustainable lifestyle. A. Prioritize delayed gratification activities like studying, exercising, building relationships, or mastering a skill. Release dopamine slowly and sustainably. Train the brain to value long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. B. Set digital boundaries. Use apps,